it's quite confusing in the beginning, and pointers are not for the faint of heart. So pointers can lead to crashes, pointers can lead to multiple references, like when I have a copy of Berlin, which doesn't make sense, but let's say we have. In programming, everything's possible. How do we keep track if we have a copy or another reference to the same thing? All of these questions arise, and what pointers are not for is keeping this issue straight. This is still your task. So when I say, okay, I have a char pointer, what is it pointing towards? Is it pointing to something that I can I give the key back to this person and tell, well, I'm done with the room? Well, you cannot if somebody else is currently trying to access it. What happens if you have a pointer to some variable that's inside of a function, like to some value that was created in a function, but you return from the function? The function destroys every variable when it returns. But what happens if I have a pointer to something that was created in the function? Will this data continue to exist? Who tells the computer when to delete the data? And what happens if we don't delete the data? All of these are questions that are related to pointers. And of course, in such a lecture like this, you can see that this topic is huge. It's really huge. But the point I want to get across here is pointers are something that can be both dangerous and very useful. So when you write your code, pay attention to what your pointers do, what they point towards, what they don't point towards, and how long the data that you point towards lives. So this is basically the rough lesson around it, and as always, the first lessons are always the most convoluted. It gets simpler and more precise once the basic level is established. Okay, so I think I'll just wrap things up for today. If you have questions, please ask them, and yeah, thanks for today.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I knew correctly, null is a void pointer, right? Null.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like null is a void pointer. You can even say null is basically telling the system to interpret the number 0 as a void pointer. So you tell the system, take the number 0 and build a key out of that to room number 0. Mm-hmm.
So basically we are using null for readability because we could write the same thing.
What do you mean?
Like, we could wrote the same thing and it would mean the same, right?
In most cases, but sometimes null is implemented as that, and sometimes null is implemented as that.
Oh.
So you cannot be sure. So always write null. Don't use this. Always write null.
Okay.
Be precise.